Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science here in New York City, broadcasting all over. Welcome to everybody signing in on Zoom right now. And for those of you who have been here already for our meditation, I want to welcome you all. Today we're going to be talking about embracing our inner authority. I have an opening poem and a little bit of a process for you. So let's start our time together with a poem to set the tone, which is paraphrased by Ernest Holmes. It's one of his. It's entitled, "The Light Within." In the silence of my heart, I know that all is well. The light within me shines so bright, guiding me through day and night. I am one with all there is, a part of God's divine bliss. So now let's take a moment, each of us, to center ourselves with this brief guided process, this little meditation. Close your eyes if you'd like, if you feel comfortable, and take a breath or two. Imagine golden healing light surrounding you. Breathe it in and exhale. And again, this light is the presence of Spirit, always with you, always guiding you, or as Emerson said, always wooing you. Breathe it in, this wonderful light. Know that it's the presence of Spirit, the very presence that's always with you, always there to comfort and guide if you will open yourself up to its guidance. I'd like you now to feel its warmth as it comes through you and it's around you, and know that it's surrounding you. It's filling your heart and your body. It's all around you. As you breathe it in, again, feel the light filling your body, going to wherever it needs to go, bringing you to a place of tranquility, a place of peace, a place of healing, knowing that all is well. As you breathe out, release any tension or worries. Know that you are safe, loved, and connected to infinite source. Take another deep breath in of this golden light. Breathe it in and just relish in it. The safety, the beauty, the quiet. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Now gently bring your awareness back to this space, feeling refreshed and centered. I'd like to now think of another treatment from Dr. Holmes's lesson, and he was going to page 277 of the textbook. Be still and take this into your consciousness as a treatment. So this is a treatment after a treatment. All mind is spirit, all mind is source. All that I am is mind, pure divine consciousness. Breathe that in. All that I am, pure inspiration, great ideas. This is who I am, and I know it. I accept it, and it is so. And let's affirm together. This will be a third. This will be a day of prayer for unity and peace. We are one people sharing one energy. In this unity, we declare peace and harmonious discourse. We embody the spirit of peace in all of our thoughts, all of our words, and all of our actions. As we embrace our inner authority, we bring forth the light of understanding and compassion. We are guided by the infinite wisdom of the Spirit within us, and we move forward with grace, with tremendous grace and confidence. And so it is. I'll have that treatment for you, for some of you have already requested it. So today, our lesson is about embracing our inner authority. We'll explore the profound concept of inner authority and how it empowers us to live fulfilling and purposeful lives. So when we go to the textbook, I was focused on an old Barker lesson on page 277 in the textbook, where it speaks of Jesus. And here's a quotation, Barker speaking of Jesus. He said, "He exercised an authority which seemed to be the result of his communion with the Spirit." And undoubtedly it was. So this was actually Ernest Holmes saying this. He, meaning Jesus, exercised an authority which seemed to be the result of his communion with Spirit. And undoubtedly it was. In the four Gospels, it's written, "Never was a person who spoke like this man spoke." People often asked him, "By what authority?" And he responded, "My record is true. I know myself, and my record is true. I know where I come from and where I go, and I know not whence ye came or whither ye go." And he said, "And you not know where you came or whither you go." So this is Jesus speaking through the scripture. My record is true. I know myself, and my record is true. I know where I came, and I know where I go. This profound declaration shows a certain knowledge, self-knowledge, that transcends hope. He didn't speak like he was hoping for something to happen. He spoke from a certainty. And this is the way a religious science or a New Thought student will speak to at least a person who's been working and practicing, living this affirmative life. Jesus, like any other great teacher throughout history, spoke with a deep conviction, and that came from a deep knowing. This knowing comes from a communion with Spirit, an inner certainty. It comes from having an inner certainty that goes beyond hoping and wishful thinking. When we develop spiritually, and that's what we're all doing as we tune in every week, and the more we practice the affirmative life, is when we do this and we develop more and more, we become the authority unto ourselves. You'll remember Ernest Holmes, I quote him many weeks by saying, "There's power for good in the universe, greater than you, of which you're a part." And Ernest Holmes will then say, "And you can use this power." So when you're reminding yourself of your connection with Spirit, when you're developing spiritually, we become an authority unto our own selves in our own lives. If you can just imagine yourself spending, say, 10 minutes a day in meditation, just 10 minutes contemplating, what am I? And leading yourself to the idea that you are one with Source, that you are part of God, you are an individualization of this divine energy. If you could contemplate that idea for 10 minutes a day, if you could cultivate that knowing, over a time, this practice will absolutely transform your thinking, and it'll fill you with a sense of authority over your own life experience. And that could be 10 minutes a day in meditation. It could be taking a pause, like we talk about several times a day, connecting with Source, and reminding yourself that I am one with the One. I am as God created me, in the light, the love, and the glory. I am one with the light. So however you do it, spending 10 days, as I think it was Barker was saying, or just taking that time to connect and remind yourself of how great you are, reminding yourself that you are one with the One, realizing what you are, cultivating this inner knowing. Over time, this practice, as I said before, will transform your thinking and will imbue you with a sense of authority over your own experience. There was a time in my life where I was struggling to find peace within myself. I seemed to be torn in every direction. External circumstances seemed overwhelming. I'm sure many of you have been there, where I don't know if it's a job or it's a health challenge or if it's a relationship challenge, where you just seem to be just completely overwhelmed. I think many, if not all of us, have been there. I was constantly seeking validation and approval from different people, my parents, and different jobs or different things I was doing, projects I was working with. And I was always, if you're looking for validation from the outside, you're most likely going to be left feeling anxious and empty, and because it isn't really found there. You can get people that will validate you in different ways, but it's not a lasting sense that you have. In my case, it wasn't until I started dedicating time each day to meditation, to affirmative prayer, and I did a lot of journaling also, that I began to experience a profound shift. By focusing on my inner connection, especially when I was doing journaling and meditation, and my affirmations, I discovered a deep sense of peace and clarity that transformed everything. We all have this inner authority. In my case, this inner authority allowed me to navigate different challenges with with a certain grace and confidence that wasn't there before. And I found that my outer world, at last, began to reflect this newfound harmony. I've shared with people in different classes before, different lessons, where I used to, for a few years, say, "This is God in my life." And what you might be wondering, what is he talking about? Everything. Whatever situation I was in, I would say, "This is God in my life." Or I might say, "Everything is perfect," even when things didn't seem to be perfect. I knew that I needed to inform myself that all is well, as Louise would so eloquently say. Ernest Holmes wrote, "The thought of God is unlimited and perfect." Take that in. Holmes said the thought of God is unlimited and perfect. The more perfectly we think, the more we shall be aware of this perfect and limitless life. So that's a message from Ernest Holmes to all of us today. The thought of God is unlimited and perfect. And the more perfectly we think, the more we shall be aware of this perfect and limitless life. This reminds us that by aligning our thoughts with divine consciousness, we can access a profound vision that will guide our lives all the way through. Again, what do you have to do? Align ourselves with divine consciousness. As we do this, we'll access a profound wisdom that will guide us all the way through our lives. We become then our own authority through self-acceptance. Yes, self, recognizing yourself with a capital S, recognizing yourself as an authority in your own life, recognizing ourselves as pure, wonderful, unconditioned consciousness. You might say that to yourself. I am pure, wonderful, unconditioned consciousness. It's a lot of words, but it's very beautiful. I am pure, wonderful, unconditioned consciousness. This type of self-acceptance, which is something that Louise Hay spoke of all the time, allows us to navigate life with confidence and clarity, unburdened by the need for external validation. Louise Hay often emphasized or said, "You have been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. See what happens. Make it your practice. Seeing the good, the God in every encounter." Self-acceptance is not about ignoring our flaws, but it's about recognizing and embracing our true nature. It's about understanding that we are inherently worthy. We're inherently capable. When we accept ourselves, we align with our divine essence. When there's self-acceptance, when you love yourself as you are, we align ourselves with our divine essence, and our inner authority naturally comes forth. As highlighted in the textbook, we want to train our thought to recognize the Spirit in everything. Again, we want to train our thought to see it in every encounter. We want to train our thought to recognize Spirit in everything we do, say, or think. This first step of affirmative prayer, by the way, is recognition. This constant recognition fosters a sense of divine companionship, creating a powerful, positive mindset that supports our spiritual growth. My father used to always say, Spirit will not be the uninvited guest. So we want to train our thought to recognize the Spirit in everything. Everything we do, we say, we think. And again, this constant recognition fosters a sense of divine companionship which creates a powerful, positive mindset and mentality that will support your spiritual growth. It will literally open doors for you in consciousness. When we live with the awareness of this power, this energy, we can say, God is. And then we can turn to the law, knowing that it will respond. From what we can tell, Jesus is one of the ones who demonstrated this principle perfectly. His approach was always to recognize the presence of spirit and then command the law to work. So what did he do? Think of treatment. We recognize. He recognized the presence of spirit, the allness of spirit, and then command the law to work. If you can remember any of the passages from the New Testament or the scriptures, and I was going through some of them as I was preparing, he gave thanks and confidently affirmed the desired outcome, knowing the law would respond. This is the correct manner of approaching spirit and law. So Ernest Holmes is saying this is the absolute best, the perfect way. Follow the way that I just mentioned, the way that we believe Jesus did. He gave thanks and confidently affirmed the desired outcome, knowing the law would respond. In my religious science classes over the years, they used to say, put a demand on consciousness. And I used to like that. So we start with confidently affirming the good that we're seeking for is done, and knowing that the law would respond. This, again, is the correct manner of approaching spirit and the law. His authority came from his deep understanding of his true nature. It came from his communing with spirit. We suggest every week or almost to take a pause, to take several times during any given day, maybe to do some reflection, to do some journaling, to do an inventory. And this is the way, this was the way that was done by Jesus. It came from self-knowledge. His authority came from his deep understanding of his true nature. His nature as a divine being is the same as all of ours. We all are one with the one. So in a similar way, when we recognize and accept our divine nature, we can address the challenges in our lives with calm and with certainty. Just as Jesus calmed the storm with saying, "Peace, be still," we too can quiet any turmoil in our mind, any turmoil in our lives. You have the power to calm the turmoil by saying peace and being still. So we want to take a pause, as we teach you in so many lessons. Meditate, pause, take a time to be mindful, connecting with spirit, and then say something to the effect, I am one with this power, I'm one with the one, peace. I am the peace. Raymond Charles Barker, our founder here in New York, noted, there is no limit to the law of mind, and there's no limit to our ability to use it. Again, there is no limit to the law of mind. We're dealing with an infinite something. There's no limit to the law of mind, and there's no limit to our ability to use it. This spiritual authority is yours, and it's not about controlling people. It's not about controlling places or things. It's about mastering our own inner world. It's about building up our consciousness enough to know, to realize that we have the power we need to shape our reality through our own thoughts, our beliefs, and actions. Again, Louise would say it's by learning to love yourself, to know your worth. It's about building your consciousness up to know that God doesn't make junk, and building yourself up to a place enough to know that I'm an individualization of this divinity. And as we build ourselves up to this place, we realize we have the power to shape our reality through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. Jesus' methods of healing and performing miracles was through affirmative prayer, if you think about it, and commanding the law. You might think back on what you remember about him. And if you don't remember, I'll let you know. I'll let you know now. He didn't beg for things and he didn't plead in prayer. Instead, he gave thanks and he spoke with authority. This approach demonstrates the power of affirmative prayer. Today's talk again is embracing our inner authority. So the approach is about giving thanks, self-realization, realizing who you are and what you are, giving thanks for the good you're looking for, and speaking with authority. This approach demonstrates the power of affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer is such a powerful, powerful process. It removes doubt and fear, and as it does so, you're letting in the realization of the presence of spirit. You can go to your textbook and the definition will be found under treatment. Dr. Holmes wrote, every single problem is primarily mental and spiritual, and the answer to our problems will be found in spiritual realization. This means when we face obstacles, we want to pause and we want to turn inward, realizing we're supplied and supported. We want to turn inward and recognize that spirit within is within, and then we want to affirm our desired outcome with confidence. We want to cultivate this inner authority, and to do so, we must invest a little bit of time in our spiritual practice. There's no rules to this. Some of you do it in the morning or the evening. Some of you do it both. Many of us do it throughout the day. We take a pause to commune, because you have all the power and all the knowledge and all the wisdom within you. So it makes great sense that it would be smart to take some time and commune with it. Imagine what it could be like dedicating, again, just 10 minutes a day for affirmative prayer and meditation. Imagine you were doing that for several years. Imagine just taking 3 or 4 timeouts a day, centering yourself in the realization that you are one with this source. Yeah, just 3 or 4 times a day. Imagine doing that and bringing yourself back to the realization that you are part of and one with divine activity. This kind of God realization or self-realization will bring about great change. This constant practice will undoubtedly transform your thinking. It will infuse your life with a deeper sense of purpose, and it will help you develop profound authority over your own experience. Through spiritual growth, we become the authority of our own lives, not by relying on other people for validation. We become authority by communing with spirit within. Ernest Holmes stated, "The power of your word is the power of your thought, and your thought is the power of your consciousness." This highlights the importance of conscious and intentional thinking in developing spiritual authority. There's power for good in the universe, as we always say, and you can use it. So again, this highlights the importance of us consciously and intentionally thinking and in developing our consciousness, so we will have greater spiritual authority. We're always in the business of trading in lesser ideas for greater as we become aware of them. That's natural, it's to be expected. So we're always willing and wanting to let go and for something, a better idea, a more expansive thought. We're always willing to gently let go of any ideas that don't support us. Understanding spiritual principles allow us to see beyond the duality of good and bad, success and failure, and realizing everything is God in action or spiritual activity. Everything is unfolding in divine order. We embrace the principle of polarity in this teaching, meaning we recognize that all experiences contribute to our growth and understanding. As we develop this perspective shifts our focus from problems to possibilities, from limitations to opportunities. As Barker said, when you learn to control your thoughts and your thinking, you will learn to control all things within your experience. Again, when you learn to control your thoughts, your thinking, you will learn to control all things within your experience. This control comes from deeply knowing that all experiences, whether perceived as positive or negative, are opportunities for growth. Often you'll hear me say, it takes great wisdom to understand that all circumstances, events, happenings are helpful. As we accept ourselves as spiritual beings, we transcend the limitations of the material world. Increasingly, we get to the point where we understand that our kingdom, so to speak, is not of this world. The more we live the affirmative life and practice this teaching, the more we practice it, we become aware of our eternal, unchanging essence, which is always evolving and expanding. This awareness of ourselves as spiritual beings that are expanding brings us a sense of peace and joy, knowing that we're part of something much greater than ourselves. We move then beyond the ego's need for validation and approval from others, and we step into a space of deep inner knowing and self-acceptance. This shift in consciousness empowers us to live authentically and purposefully. Our journey towards self-acceptance is pivotal. Louise said this journey to self-acceptance is the key to everything, to all positive changes. We begin to know and recognize our true essence as divine consciousness. So I hope you're all getting this idea. We begin to understand and recognize our true essence as divine consciousness. By understanding and embracing who we truly are, we no longer have much need for external validation. We might prefer to be liked, for example, but we have grown to a place where we are self-accepting. We begin to navigate life with a newfound confidence, a new kind of clarity grounded in the truth of our being. We talk a lot about learning affirmations here, affirmative prayer. And as we learn to live the affirmative life, as we learn to engage in spiritual practice, such as meditation, affirmations, affirmative prayer, visioning, and more, we tap into this deep inner knowing. And over time, not that much time, these practices cultivate a deeper awareness and understanding of our true nature. Then we move from hope to certainty and from doubt to knowing. This shift transforms our lives, empowers us to live with greater purpose and meaning. When we live from this inner place, we align ourselves with the divine flow. We align ourselves with the truth of who we are. And again, we no longer seek approval from others because we find we're increasingly trusting in our own knowing. This inner authority, this spirit guides us, bringing a sense of peace and fulfillment. It empowers us to face life's challenges with grace and confidence. Living from your inner authority, and you all have it, is about communing with self, being true to yourself, being true to your divine nature. And it's about trusting it, trusting your intuition, because you surely have it, trusting your inner guidance. It's right there within you, knowing that we're always supported by the infinite intelligence of the universe within. Raymond Charles Barker encouraged all the students to practice. Apply these principles in your daily life. He advised against waiting for perfection before putting these principles into practice. Instead, he urged us, start wherever you are. Start right now this afternoon. Start with what you know, and trust that our understanding will grow and grow with experience. By embodying spiritual truths in our actions and our decisions, we align ourselves with the infinite potential of the divine. Ernest Holmes said, "The universe responds to our thought in direct proportion to our belief in our thought." Again, the universe responds to our thought in direct proportion to our belief in it. This emphasizes the importance of having faith and trust. Trust in your own power. Trust in the universal laws. We often rely on external authorities to validate our experiences, whether it's through having diplomas, certificates, pats on the back, societal approval. We rely a lot on the externals. But true authority comes from within, from our direct communion with Spirit. Barker often spoke about the importance of self-acceptance as the foundation for spiritual authority. He shared a story in his lesson of Dr. Ava Adler, a psychiatrist he knew who integrated spiritual principles into her practice. And despite facing challenges in gaining recognition, her unwavering self-acceptance and inner authority allowed her to bridge the gap between science and spirituality effectively. His story about her illustrated that true authority is not about external validation, but about inner knowing and self-acceptance. It's about trusting our own experience and intuition, regardless of external opinions or recognition. More traditional systems of authority you might find in psychiatry, psychology often would focus on studying problems, symptoms, and so on, rather than potential. Barker said of our teaching that psychology is studied what he called back then problem people. We would not say it that way today. He was explaining that that would lead to a limited understanding of mind's true nature. In contrast, spiritual development recognizes mind as pure being, never irrational, always aligned with the divine. So this perspective shifts our focus from our problems to the possibilities. Dr. Holmes wrote, "We must be careful not to be mesmerized by the beliefs and all the woes and cares of the world. Instead, anchor ourselves to the truth within and the truth of our own being." This reminds us to look beyond traditional limitations and what everyone's talking about and embrace what you know deep within. Embrace your true potential and see that potential in other people. See that divine potential. One of the core principles of science of mind is the recognition of the individuality within unity. I'll say it again. One of the core principles of the teaching is the recognition of this individuality within this collective one. I have a little reflective question for everyone today. You could talk about it in the chat afterwards, or any other thing you'd like to mention, any other demonstration. So the question is, how can we embody inner peace and spiritual authority in our daily life? And maybe we're doing it already. Is there anything else we can do to embody more inner peace and spiritual authority in our own daily life? So maybe take a moment, reflect on that, and let the question settle in your mind. I'll ask it one more time. How can you embody more peace, more inner peace? How could you embody more spiritual authority in your daily life? So think about that. You can feel free to share your reflections in a few minutes, because I'm going to be soon turning the camera over to those of you who want to share. So let's wrap up this part of the lesson with a closing affirmative prayer. I am the consciousness of life. I am pure being. I am all there really is. This in no way detracts from another living soul, because we are all the same. I am the consciousness of pure being. My subconscious mind accepts this with all its implications. I grow in wisdom and understanding, in favor with spirit and with humanity. I am the embodiment of peace, and I declare harmony in all my interactions. As I embrace my divine essence, I spread love, understanding, and tranquility. And so it is. So now we're going to turn our broadcast over to you for personal sharing. We have time for everyone to share for a couple of minutes, I'm sure. Share your good news, or share on the question I just asked, or say hello if you're new, and we'd love to welcome you. So this is a wonderful time for everyone to get to know each other. No one's ever obliged to share, so you don't have to, but we'd love to get to know you. And so thank you for being with us today. I look forward to listening to all your comments and remarks. Thank you.